empowering leadership is a lot of having to do, I think, with not trying to be right, but trying to all get to the right destination together.
Helping other people to grow and become leaders on their own, which I think is a great quality to have in a church, especially.
Identifying the traits and the special skills people have and allowing them to grow and nurture those skills so that they can shine with the skills that they have.
I think that it really helps when you see a church working together as a group, and that doesn't mean that you have one leader who is just in charge of everything. Maybe it's a group of leaders and you have leaders training leaders and everyone is in charge of something and working together.
Young people working with older people. And I think that shows that the leadership is going to be passed on to the next generation and the next generation. And I think that empowering is such a great word because it shows that we trust.
Making sure you have involvement from a young age in the children's ministries and the youth, making sure they're involved in the church so that the leaders and the skills don't die out as the generations age. So, growing the church so that there's some consistency and there's a handoff through generations to keep the church going and to keep the love in the church and the skill set's pretty high to keep the church going well. Is a good sign.
I think signs that church is not empowering their leaders is probably when it feels stagnant or like small and there's not much ministry, not much outreach, and they kind of just stay in their own circle and don't really allow others to join that.
Others don't feel safe in the church. People leave the church for various reasons because they don't feel included or loved in the church, and that there's just a lot of one party is favored or the other, and just toxic environments in the church.
People aren't working together. People are leaving. I think that's one of the bigger things that you can tell when you see like kind of a dissonance in the church and people aren't talking to each other and there's no growth happening. It's usually because of a lack of leadership.
Two times we have just a few people in the church doing so many things, which can lead to burnout, which can lead to the other people that aren't doing things just end up sitting on the sideline and not really feeling like they're a part of it and not activating maybe the calling and the purposes that God has for them and for their lives.
When we make a division based on age, when we say, oh no, they cannot be elders, for instance, because they are too young. No. Remember, Jesus went into the temple at the age of 12 years old.
We need more push for leadership that looks like servant leadership and not like, oh, I'm in charge of something, but like, how can I help those around me?
To lead them and equip them in ways that are in accordance with the gifts God's given them. And I think that can lead to some really wonderful, healthy churches in the process.